You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 133. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guests are the founders and owners of He Bakez. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure we'll all be inspired by this story. Let's chop it up with Andre and Cynthia Myrick. Andre and Cynthia, how y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing well. How about yourself?
Glad to hear that. All is well on my end, too. First things first, thank y'all for taking time out of your schedules to chop it up with me. I really appreciate it.
So do we. The feeling is mutual.
No doubt, absolutely. So before we talk about He Bakez and all the great things you all have going on in business, let's get to know the man and woman behind the brand. So I'll start with ladies first. So Cynthia, born and raised in Birmingham, what was your upbringing like in the 205?
Upbringing was pretty good. Typical childhood. Was in the band. I was a flag girl. I really enjoyed that, and migrated a little bit further down. Started off in Selma, Alabama, and now I'm here in Montgomery. So
Okay,
everything's pretty good.
okay, sounds good. Sounds like you had a great village growing up in Birmingham.
Oh yeah.
Okay, absolutely. And Andre, you were born in Birmingham as well, ended up being raised in the 4-5. What was your upbringing like in Lowndes County?
Typical country living, man. Everything, simplicity is king. So everything was just really, really simple, man. Great village. I come from the school where you get in trouble, mom, neighbor, everybody get at you. So it was pretty typical for country living, man. And I loved it. I was brought down to Lowndes County with my mom. I was an infant. So don't really claim Birmingham, but that is my birthplace. So pretty much all my life has been, Lowndes County, 4-5.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And you definitely right, just in terms of that village and just how things used to be. I grew up in the country as well. And those are just different times where everybody could spank your butt. Like it wasn't no holds barred, no limits. If you got wrong with the lady up the street, she'll spank you then mama
Right,
gonna
right.
spank you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. But times are different now. I just leave it at that. Can't do that no
Yes.
more.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So both of you all come from great villages, great families, and ended up making your way down to Montgomery, and that's where you all are operating He Bakez. So let's roll right into the business. What inspired the name?
Um, it was weird the way it all came about, and we were just kind of throwing names around with each other, and we wasn't really sold on He Bakez. I can't remember some of the other names that we had threw out there, but I was just like, "How about He Bakez?" So she said yes. So Cynthia, she's like the manager of the company, so everything she has approved it. The name, all of that stuff, the logo. When I drew it up or whatever, she was just like, I liked it.
Okay.
So yeah, it was kind of a mutual decision or whatever to go with the name He Bakez.
Okay, absolutely. Very organic way to come up with the name. Sounds great. So Cynthia, where exactly did you first develop your love for baking?
Well, my grandmother was a baker, but truthfully be told, Andre does 95.99% of the baking. He
Nice.
does baking, and I do majority of the decorating. I kind of kick in, if we're kind of packed or, booked up, but he does majority of the baking. But I do love baking. Like I said, my mother was the cook in the family, and my grandmother did a lot of cooking too, and she did most of the baking. My mother was famous in our family for these pecan walnut pies. They were so good. So I think we both had that background of that baking and cooking, because for me, how I show my family that I love them is through what I feed them. So we take that same premise and we put it into our baking as well. Every cake is baked with love, attention, and care, and we give that to our customers, and that what we pride ourselves on by just being great. So yes, I love baking, but Andre does most of it.
Yes, ma'am. That's powerful stuff. And thank you for sharing that. Sounds like you all have a system, a dynamic duo, making things happen, doing the thing where he bakes. I love to hear it. So, Andre, 95% of the bacon. I already know you developed your love growing up in the country. I'm pretty sure you saw Big Mama, Mama, Auntie, and all them throwing down in the kitchen,
Yeah, yeah, spot on, man. That's
huh?
I started. My mom, she was at work. I was there with my great grandmother, and in the country, there's no such thing as a man don't do this or that or whatever. If I'm cooking, you're gonna get in here and learn how to do it. So the baking thing, it kind of started. I may have been around 10 years old. Me and my sister, I used to watch her, and she wanted some biscuits. And I screwed those biscuits up about 5 or 6 times. I may have called my mom at work. I don't know how many times. Finally got it right. So from there on, it just led to other things.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That's typically how it goes when you learn how to cook. Like the first couple of times, it's horrible, man. The taste be off or it be burnt, but hey, you stuck in there and figured it out. That's what's up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So you all growing up, your upbringings and developing your own love for cooking and coming up with the business, that leads to my next portion. So whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like y'all, I like to talk about three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. Let's start with the aha moment. What sparked the idea for you all to take your love for baking and turn it into a business?
You want to get there? Or you want
I can.
Okay.
Well, Andre had a classmate that asked for a cake. This was maybe 3, 4 years ago, and we went from there. Everything has changed from there. Our business has been thriving even during the pandemic. We really started booming during the pandemic, which kind of shocked me because everybody was like, oh, be careful of this, be careful of that. But we started out with that and we just kept going ever since. It just took that one order. And from there, she promoted, we promoted. It was pretty much word of mouth. And we have just been supported overwhelmingly by our family, most of all our family and our friends. So that's where it came from. Just decided someone asked for a cake and we gave it to them.
Wow, that's powerful. A very simplistic, organic way how the business came about. And hats off to you all for continuing to operate in business during the pandemic. That was a very interesting time, as we all know, and hard to believe it's going to be 4 years in a month. I can't believe it's been 4 years since
Right.
2020. That looking back on it, that was an ideal time to be in the business that you all are in because we was all in the house and eating
Yeah.
good and
Oh, yeah.
staying quarantined.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it
Right.
was a great time. I thought that the business would slow down, but it actually ramped up. And our customers trusted us to give them a quality product at that time. It really meant a lot to us because, like I said, it was the pandemic. And a lot of people were nervous, a lot of people were scared, and they still trusted us. And that's why we constantly thank our supporters for their continued support because that means a lot. If you trust someone to bring a service to you and something you have to eat as well. So we really appreciate our supporters.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. And that's great that you all do acknowledge your customers and just appreciating them because yeah, during that time it was definitely interesting and we was in the house and yeah, it was just so much fear in the air and all that good stuff. But it's great that you all were able to deliver the quality products to your customers during that time. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So the next portion, the action portion, sounds like from the time y'all had that first order in terms of coming up with a name and actually operating in business, y'all got right to it. So the action portion didn't take very long at all, did it?
No, actually, she told the kind of tame side of the story. It's like it started with me doing the baking. Like she said, a classmate wanted a cake, and I was going through it first time out, doing decorative baking, and it got to the point to where we had a lot of orders, and I could not take care of it all. Somebody wanted a cake that was very detailed, so she like, hey, you want me to help you? I was like, would you please? So she came in, she started helping because initially she was like the manager. She took the orders, took care of the money and everything. And I just pretty much did the work. So once she came in and started giving a hand with that, it turned into something else. And that was the action moment because we started getting more into funded work, more difficult, the difficult side of decorating. And she picked it up like a champ and just ran with it. And from there, it just kind of been growing and growing and growing.
Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No doubt. So the last portion, audacity, is one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to put action behind the idea, which you all did. But to put it out to the world, to be praised or criticized, that's where the audacity comes in my opinion. Who or what gave you all the courage to put He Bakes out to the world to be praised or criticized?
I would say that what gave us the courage to do it would be the way that we feel about ourselves and how we feel about our marriage. We're out there, we love each other, and we want the world to know that we have a really good product. And initially, it was difficult, knowing that, as you said, your work will be criticized. And despite your best efforts at times, sometimes it may not hit the mark. And knowing that every customer is different and how to deal with them and different personalities and things like that, it just gave us the courage to keep going. It gave us the courage to continue to deliver a good product, because not only do our cakes look good, but they taste good. And it just gave us the courage to continue and continue and continue. There are trying times, but we know that in order to be the best, we have to give our best. And that's what we do. And that gave us the courage to just keep going. The way we deal with life and our families and things like that, knowing that sometimes you want to give up. There are days when we work to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of people don't see that side of He Bakes. They see the cakes and things like that, but we put a lot of work in. We put in a lot of hours, on top of us both working full-time job as well. We do weddings, we do birthday parties, we do a lot of different things. And just keeping that courage, and staying positive and focused is what allows us to keep going.
There were, when she said difficult times, I mean, I probably quit 4 or 5 times early on. I was like, I'm not finna do this. And she sat me down and she told me, and when I tell you this is my rock, she was just like, look, she was like, this is like a baby, an infant. She was like, what you got to do with a baby? You got to feed it, you got to nurture it, you got to take care of it until it can take care of itself. Toddler phase, all of that kind of stuff. So when she said that, I kind of thought about it. I was like, hey, we new in this. We just started this. Still to date, we don't quite have 4 years yet. So when I had my moment of weakness or whatever, she picked me up and we pushed through it. And it just been an amazing journey. I told her early on, I say, well, babe, I say, out of all the bakers in Montgomery, I say, I got meager aspirations or whatever. I just want our name in the conversation. And she always used to tell me, she was like, hey, they see us. So here we are.
Absolutely. That's some powerful stuff right there. And everything you all said, just spot on. Just having the audacity, just believing in each other and just believing in the product. And hey, anytime you're creating something early on, those times are tough. And it is one of those, you do have those moments. I've been there myself where you question it, is this even worth it? But you just keep showing up because you don't know which day, you don't know what moment, what day, what client, what call or anything is going to be the one that take your brand from where it is to a household name. So hats
Right.
off to you all for continuing to show up, because that's half the battle, in my opinion, just showing up.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. So just in terms of what you all been able to do in business, has there been a scenario where someone wanted a turnaround time, maybe a, have you, let me see, how can I frame this question? Has there ever been a turnaround time that may have been stressful, a 2 or 3 day turnaround time that you all could think of where you had to persevere and get a cake done in a short period of time?
Definitely. We've had a lot of close calls. We always managed to deliver. I think maybe we had one customer, we was like, hey, give us 5 more minutes. And a lot of times it came down to the wire. And there's locally here in Montgomery, we have to deal with a lot of shipping issues because you don't really have a lot of places to get a lot of bacon supplies and stuff from on the decorative side. So if one of our shippers or something dropped the ball, now we gotta try to compensate, we gotta make it work, and things like that kind of throw us behind. But there have been times where I gotta be to work at 5 in the morning. I'm stopping on a cake at 3 o'clock, and I'm pretty much getting ready for work. But that's what we had to do to get it done.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, and just hearing you talk about that, like, it just goes into just how dedicated y'all are to delivering a quality product. I mean, and like, as you were saying earlier, that's the part that people don't see. People see the finished product, they see the beautiful cake, but they don't see the stand up to 3, 4 in the morning. And I appreciate you for sharing that, because one thing social media has a way of doing is making it seem like entrepreneurship is all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not. Sometimes you up wee hours in the morning, especially with what you all do. And sometimes things go right, sometimes things go wrong. And sometimes you have to call a customer up and be like, hey, give me 5 more minutes. So I appreciate you for just being transparent, just telling us the ins and outs of entrepreneurship.
Oh
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
Absolutely. So you all being in the baking business, I'm just curious, when you all go out to restaurants and eat, are you harsh critics when it comes to the dessert, or do you give them a little grace?
Um, kind of, but we're not really harsh. I mean, we know what it is. We don't really do a lot of judging in that manner. I'm not really a big dessert eater. She's kind of more heavy on the desserts than me. And, every now and then a company is made. It's like, oh, but it's just to the point, just like barbecue ribs, for example. What you make at home, you're probably not going to get in a restaurant. It's just different purpose, all of that kind of stuff. So with that, we're cool about that. Yeah, we're not heavy on the judging.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
When
Right.
you when you work in a certain field or something is your passion, I wouldn't say be judgy, but if you taste it, like, that ain't homemade right there. That is not homemade.
Right.
But when you go, let's say if you go to a restaurant, a chain restaurant or whatever, you're gonna get a different quality of a dessert than if you would go to a mom and pop. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Most of the time, when you go like to that gas station store and they had that peach cobbler in there, you're gonna be getting some good food. Somebody was back there making that peach cobbler.
Right.
But if you go to a restaurant and things like that, most of the time it's store-bought, but it's okay. I mean, store-bought cake is just as good as homemade cake, as long as it tastes good.
Right.
So not so judgy, but like I said, when you know, you know. That's
Right.
all I'm saying.
Right, absolutely, Cynthia. And you just gave them a gem, like the gas station. That food, peach cobbler at the gas station be busting. The chicken too.
Right. Yes.
They do it, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh yeah.
that's all right. So that's amazing, and you're spot on, just in terms of when you're passionate about something and you go to these different places. Yeah, you're definitely gonna have a different experience at restaurants versus what you have at home, and like that's great that you all do extend grace. And yeah, it's definitely a difference, and I'm pretty sure, not even being like judgmental, but I'm pretty sure when you all do go out to places and try desserts, you're like, that's missing some salt or that's missing some cinnamon. So
Hey, yeah, low key, we kind of compare it. We'll just
right,
say, yeah, we
right,
do that a little bit.
right, absolutely. So you all have done great things with He Bakes, and I'm sure great things are coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion, vision. What are some of your short-term or long-term goals for the business that you all feel comfortable sharing?
Oh my God, there are so many. There's a lot of things that we want to do with the company locally, but we both work full-time jobs, and I I don't know. We kind of have a short/long term. Well, it's a long-term plan that I'll probably be the first one up for retirement. So at that point, a lot of these other ventures and stuff that we want to do, we'll be able to kind of pursue that. So right now, we're just kind of we're just trying to build clientele and continue to build a brand. And at some point, we're not going to be able to hold it back the way we have been.
And I would say for us, the short-term goal, we do different wedding shows. We've done pop-ups, and we do have an event that's coming up next month that we will be hosting in Prattville. And another long-term goal for us, I think, would be to actually get a food truck or a brick and mortar. We really would love to get a food truck, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great short-term, long-term goals, and I'm pretty sure you all will make all your goals come to fruition.
Right. Thank you.
Absolutely. As we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask the $1 million question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness connected to the city of Montgomery. Whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it college, military, or work, you both being in Montgomery by way of Lowndes County and Birmingham, I want to ask each of you, what do you appreciate the most about the city of Montgomery?
I appreciate the simplicity of the city. I've been to a lot of cities, and I guess that's that country nature in me. I love simplicity, and Montgomery is that. There's a lot of great things in the city, and I think it's due to the lack of the hustle and bustle and all of the fast track stuff or whatever. It's just kind of like the whole city just got this kind of down home feel where it's advancing, but at a comfortable rate. And that definitely works for me. And of course, look at us, we're home bakers and we got a thriving business. It's like that's kind of hard to do in a lot of the other big cities. So Montgomery welcomes you, and I'm appreciative of that.
For stuff, Cynthia, how about you? What do you appreciate the most about the city?
I would say what I appreciate the most is the people of Montgomery, the diversity of our customers, how welcoming they are to us, with us being home bakers. It really makes us proud. And we just celebrate that, being able to do what we do is something that we love. And the people of Montgomery have welcomed us, with open arms, and we really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful stuff, powerful stuff. So how can the people connect with you all? What are your social media handles?
Get that, baby.
Okay, well, they can reach out to us on Facebook at He Bakes, and they can also reach out to us on Instagram at He Bakes, He_Bake underscore.
Yeah, that's he_bakes, and bakes is spelled with a Z on the end, not an S underscore. And that right now, those are our two locations on Instagram and Facebook. And we do have an email set up. Also, it's hebakes@yahoo.com.
All righty, too easy. And of course, I'll put all of that information in the description of the episode. Hey, Andre and Cynthia, thank you all again for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Have
We
a good
really
one.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumptown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Go on. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.